Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Blue Maxima and I'm here checking out Secret of Mana. This is the remake of the old SNES game. Yes, indeedy. I haven't actually played the original SNES game, so I can't really tell you anything about it. Although, judging by the 5 minutes or so of gameplay I looked up, this seems to be a pretty much one-for-one recreation of it. As like Adventures of Mana was, the remake of that came out like a year or two ago, so if you've played the SNES version before, you pretty much know what to expect from this one. If you haven't, well, now's the time to go have a... Wait, what? Oh, I didn't even realize there was multiplayer. Unfortunately, it's only ad hoc, which, actually, to be fair, makes enough sense to me. So, let's go have a look at the options. You might notice I've got the background music turned way the fuck down. That's because it is way too loud by default. Like, you have no idea. It makes the voice almost impossible to hear. You can also change the sound source so that you'll hear the soundtrack from the original game, but I've been keeping it on the remake, which is fine. I really don't have that much of a problem with it. You can change your controls here, but there's no real need to. You can turn off the minimap, but I recommend you don't, because sometimes it makes it hard to figure out where a certain amount of doors are. So sometimes you'll have a door that goes out the bottom of the screen, but it's all black, so you won't be able to tell. And you can also turn up the in-game item limit, which is a bit odd, I must say. What? Why is this an option? Like, why isn't there just like a default item limit? The default's like 8, but I've turned it up to 12 because why the hell not? And you can also see your controls here, not that much out of the ordinary. So let's just go load into my game, shall we? I am 3 hours in, which is interesting. And I've been through a little bit of the game, not much, but I've beaten a few bosses, unlocked a few things, got my party together and all that, so hopefully I should give you a rough idea of what this game's about and how it plays and all that junk when it loads. The loading times and the performance of this game are not great, also the AI pathing, because if you couldn't tell, Popoi there is just running into the wall constantly. This is also something that happens in inns. When you get out of the bed in the inn for, you know, resting and getting your HP and your MP back and not being like, having your party members follow you around as ghosts, they will get up and run into the wall constantly, just waiting for you to get back into somewhere they can actually follow. It's kind of amusing the first time, but then afterwards it just gets really annoying. So we're just going to go towards the place I know that I need to go, because I actually know where to go, and that is surprisingly decent for me. So we're just going to make our way down, fight whatever we see along the way. And as you can also see, the performance in this game is not particularly great. It makes the entire thing feel a bit sluggish. Sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't, and I can't seem to find any particular consistency between where the game will slow down and where it won't slow down. And it makes the combat a bit of a chore, and honestly the combat's a bit of a chore already. And you're about to find out just what the combat's like, because we're probably about to run into some enemies. Unfortunately, I'm a little bit over-leveled for this area, so we'll have to wait until I get into the... area that we're going before I can realistically tell you about the combat and its problems, but I'll give you a rough idea of what the combat's like here. The general idea is that you've got the X button to attack, and you can swap between your party members at will with the D-pad to use their weapons. You can also swap what weapons everyone has equipped, which is nice. And your attack power is determined by the meter down in the bottom middle of the screen. You could see it drop to 0 and then start filling back up to 100. Depending on when you throw out your attack will determine your attack strength. So if I throw out my attack at like 50%, for example, it's going to be nowhere near as strong as if it was at 100%. So there doesn't really seem to be a reason to wait until, to not wait until your attack power has gone back up to 100. It's really strange, because you just end up in... Alright, I need to talk to this man. This is the cannon man. So I can actually go to... Oh, no. Okay, apparently I'm close to town. So it's actually where I need to be right now, so whatever. But yeah, there doesn't seem to be any reason not to wait for the meter to go back up to 100. You just do more damage that way, and with how fast the meter fills up, there's, again, really no reason not to. It just feels a bit weird that they feel the need to make you wait for your next attack to be as powerful instead of just introducing a small delay. Right, I'm not allowed back in here because of the story and all that. I need to remember where the fuck I'm going. I usually use those cannons to get around, but apparently I am near the town that I need to be at, so guess I just need to run around a bit. You can use the circle button to run around, but it does drain your stamina, but not by much. I mean, you can release the circle button and it comes back pretty much instantly. You do also have the ability to hit the square button to go to your menu, and the triangle button also does the same thing for some reason. And you can select spells to use, and I might as well demonstrate one now while we're here. So you can also select items, and this is also how you select different weapons. And this whole menu is just a pain in the ass to navigate. It's just awfully slow to go through, and you have to pull open this menu a lot. And I can't actually use a spell because I need to be the right character to do it. So I need to be her, and now I need to pick a spell to use. And nope, she is the defending mage, which I don't want. I want to use the attacking mage's spell. Now I need to pick a spell, need to pick an enemy to use it on, and then she's stuck still while the spell gets cast. And it throws out the spell, does some damage, yada yada yada. It's all rather slow. That's kind of my problem with it. It feels relatively disconnected, especially since we're playing in 3D. I mean, in 2D, I might have been able to understand the mechanics, especially since it was a SNES game, and action RPGs weren't exactly the most common thing in the world that weren't like Zelda, so trying something new, I'll give them some benefit of the doubt for, but this 3D remake just feels a bit weird, because when you attack an enemy, they'll go arse overhead and lie on the ground, and then you can walk up to them and attack them again before they get up, and it'll take a second for them to realize they've even been hit, and then they'll just flop back over again as soon as they start getting up. It's really freaking weird. Like, I don't know how exactly to explain it, because it's something you need to play to make it really hit home just how weird it feels. This is not the way I meant to go. You can't see the barriers on the map either, which is a real annoyance, because if you're fighting an enemy close to the barrier and you end up touching it, well, back you go, and then you have to go back again. And of course, enemies not only respawn when you leave the screen, they respawn when you leave the area. Oh, hello. Whoop! Okay. You got to hear a little bit of the voice acting there. The voice acting in English and Japanese, which you can swap between. Like, if I just hit the square button here and go to the settings menu, you get some other options here that you don't get while you're not playing the game. But yeah, you can swap between Japanese and English audio tracks, and neither of them are particularly good. I don't think either of them really fit, but that's just me. It's just... yeah, the combat is just so weird. It just doesn't feel right in 3D. And there's a couple of other things too. Like, you've got your partners here, of course, and your partners just don't do particularly well in the combat. You can customize... you can customize how the, bear with me here. You can customize how they act, but it doesn't really do anything. Like, it doesn't seem to really change their behavior in any way. So, like, if I hit the square button again, we'll just have a look at the menu while we're here. You can equip gear to upgrade their stats, and you can see how the, you can see how it'll change if I take it off, you know? Not too out of the ordinary. My evade is really high right now, so I'm not that likely to be hit. Here's the action grid. So this is where you come to adjust the AI capabilities of everybody. I've got them assisting me because I don't really have any reason to move past the, I don't really have any reason to use anyone other than him. But you can have them assist each other or attack enemies not targeted by you or attack the same target. But the problem is, and I want you to pay attention to the AI companions just to make sure that you see what the problem is, they won't attack enemies if you're not attacking enemies actively, even if you've got them attacking enemies not targeted by allies. And even then, when they knock a dude over, they won't go in and finish the job, so they'll get back up and start attacking again. It's really freaking strange, and I don't know why they do it, because it just makes them useless companions, more or less. You can check your weapon level, so you can see how you're doing on particular weapons and what abilities you have for them. The guide will let you see characters, monsters, and weapons, but the weird thing is, it won't let you see items. So when you get a new item, you don't know what it does until you actually try it out. And I don't know why this is a thing. Even the shops won't tell you what they do. I'm not going to claim to know what the deal is there, but okay. And of course, you've also got your different kinds of weaponry. And it resets to equip gear every single time. And here's your game log, which will tell you what to do next, which is kind of nice, but at the same time, it means that you kind of have to remember what the map is. I know it's the thing from the SNES days, but it'd be nice if there was an option to turn on, like, hey, go to this part of the map at the very least. And of course, you've got your status with all the, with all of your dudes and all that. Nothing particularly out of the ordinary. You can head down to swap your weapons. You can head down again to use different items. And that's pretty much it for all your menus and stuff and such. So let's head in and actually try and do some real combat, shall we? Alright, we have real enemies to fight. Hurrah! So, as I said before, it's really very basic. You just try and avoid their attacks when they throw them out, and hit them when your meter's charged up and you've got a moment to attack. That is pretty much the entirety of the combat in the game. And I know I make it sound really simple, but the majority of the enemies don't really encourage deviation from this format. Especially, like, alright, I open this up, it's a time bomb, because of course it is. Of course a fucking time bomb is inside an enemy's dropped thing. But yeah. Watch this. So, oh, great. Frozen, because that's what spells do to you, because fuck off. Right, so, watch this. Oh, for fuck's sake. Right, so if I hit an enemy... Well, if I actually... No, never mind. Let's just move on to the next room. So if we hit an enemy, and oh, for fuck's sake, it's the chess pieces. But yeah, if you hit an enemy and knock it down, you hit it again. You're free to... Oh, you're almost free to hit it again as soon as your meter gets to 100, and then they'll just get knocked over again. That is the majority of enemies so far in the game. Like, these are the most likely enemies to avoid my attacks that I've seen so far. And it's surprising, actually. Like, you don't often see this. There are, of course, some enemies that don't, but generally... they're not particularly a pain in the ass to take care of anyway. It's just annoying as well, mainly because with the enemies that can't avoid your attacks, it just means that you do the same thing, fight them over and over again. We'll just knock them over, wait for your meter to finish, and then just while you're just standing there and just hit the button to knock them over again. That's pretty much all of the fights with enemies out in the overworld to start out with, and even here. Like, see, I knocked him over, now... meter's back up to maximum, hit him again, and half the time they'll knock him back over again. It's really strange. You do, of course, have other weapons to use, so if I pause here, I can swap to, say, the Power Glove, which is a really bad name for something that came out on the SNES, I must say, but... yeah. Some of your weapons have different abilities, but I can't see an effective way to either learn what their inputs are, or how to... learn what their inputs are, or how to accomplish them. I think it's got something to do with how you're moving when you press the X button to attack, but... with that said, I'm not entirely sure. So, fighting with weapons just feels annoyingly inconsistent, just because you end up using these weird moves that you don't expect to happen. And sometimes when you've got weapons that have a really wide attack arc, like if I just pull out the heavy spear, for example, you can see that it's got a pretty good 180-degree arc, so you can hit multiple enemies at a time with it. But you've also got that stab, and I can't for the life of me figure out when he stabs, and when he... let me guess, time bomb? Time bomb. Yep, had a feeling. It's hard to tell when he's gonna stab, and when he's gonna do the full-on swing. And that is annoying as sin. I'm really not sure why they've done it this way in this game, but they have, and... well, it just pisses me off. Like, I really don't have that much else to say about it. I have long-range weapons on my two dudes here, and according to a guide I had to look up to figure out what I needed to do with a certain orb, because, like, I really have bad luck with these sorts of games. According to that guide, different weapons are more likely to hit different dudes, but in that case, it means that I have to pop open this weapon menu again in order to swap my weapons, and I have to keep doing that to figure out what's most effective with what. And there are some areas in the game that require you to use like a specific weapon in order to get across a specific obstacle. Like sometimes you'll find these little pedestals that you need to throw your lasso on, and you need to pull out that weapon to do that. And then if you want to swap back to the weapon you're actually good with, well, you have to do that in order to start fighting things again. Can you tell this annoys me? And as you can see, I'm missing this guy a lot. I assume his evasion is really high. I could probably take him out if I used MP, but the MP recovery items are really expensive and you don't start out with very much, so I don't see the point. So yeah, I just find myself getting more frustrated than not with this combat system. It's a shame, because I could see this working in theory, but in practice, it just seems to fall flat on its face in every conceivable notion. Which is really unfortunate, and the boss fights in particular aren't particularly great either, because you might have noticed that when I got a magic attack against me, when someone was using a magic attack against me, I was frozen stiff to the ground, and that happens with bosses a lot, because bosses are a lot more likely to use magic attacks. So they'll just pull out a magic attack and there'll be nothing you can do about it. You'll just be frozen there. As far as I can tell, there's no way to avoid them. Like, a boss will pull out like a magic item called Dragon Breath, for example, right? And you think, oh, I need to avoid being in front of him, because if I'm in front of him, that's where I'll take the most damage. That just doesn't happen. You'll be frozen to the spot, and you'll take the damage no matter what. That happens with a lot of spells in this game. Not all, but most. And it's really frustrating. So yeah, that was pretty simple. So that was an example of the Japanese voice acting. I'm going to swap the audio language now, so that you can hear the English voice acting. I don't remember what bloody button brings up the menu. I keep going to press start to do it, and that just, sorry, brain fart, having help. I keep pressing start to bring it up, and it's just annoying me. But anyway, there we go. Back to English. And it says our life force will be drained in this room, so I assume this means we're going to fight a boss in a... Oh, there is actually a boss up there, right. I'm guessing I'm not going to be able to hit this thing with short-range weaponry. Oh no, never mind, I actually can. And, yep, there's another fucking free spell that just locks me in place and leaves me completely unable to do anything, and yada yada yada. Right, those guys are having much better luck hitting them than I am, so let me swap to something. I believe this weapon is a long-range weapon. Yeah, that actually works, okay. Well, at least this one makes sense. Mostly. Are you kidding me? I'll be right back. I swear, every time I do a bloody video like this, I get interrupted. Anyway, back to the game. What the fuck was I saying before I got interrupted by that phone call? The spells are just free to solid that seem to have no rhyme or reason to them. Yeah, that happens a lot. Well, I guess it's time to start pulling out some spells. Unfortunately, I do actually need to swap to them to use the spells. This whole interface could easily have been redone. Like, why couldn't there have been, like, a button that I could press that would bring up all the spells I could cast and who could cast them and just be like, hey, cast this immediately for me, please. You know, stuff like that. I don't know why this is a thing, but it's a thing, apparently. Also, I can cast attacking spells now and actually have them be useful, so I'm actually going to do that. Thankfully, with spells, you can actually cast them at literally everything, and it'll cost the same amount of MP, which is actually really nice. Right, so what was I saying before? Oh, we actually killed one of the eyes. That's interesting. The thing about the bosses as well is that they're too fucking easy. Like, I know this sounds weird, but they are really easy to just, like, run up against, because since they don't have any rhyme or reason there, and half their attacks are going to hit you no matter what, they have to make them really easy to actually beat as long as you keep enough health potions with you. So, yeah, it's just a surprising thing. Right, I remember what I was saying. I wish this menu was just remade. Like, you could make this menu really easy to use, but they maintain this whole spherical thing that I saw in the video for the SNES version, and it's just like, God, I wish they had just gone to the effort of actually remaking this, instead of just, like, outright copying everything from the previous game. And it's kind of frustrating. Just because I know they could do better than this. Like, they call it a remake, but they make it so bloody close to the original thing without actually doing anything interesting with it. And it's just disappointing, really. Gem missile on the wall face, I assume. What's going on? The wall is moving, which I'm not a fan of. That was a sneeze. Right, I assume I have to kill this thing before it, has the opportunity to push me off that edge. Gem missile to the face, please. And we are out of magic. Well, fuck. I said the game was too easy, but for whatever reason, that was surprisingly hard. Let's see if the autosave saved me a little bit of trouble. At least that's one nice thing they probably added from the SNES version. Seriously, I was throwing attacks at that thing left, right, and center and it still didn't die. What the fuck was that about? Where am I? Oh, I'm back here again. Fuck's sake. Yeah, can you tell that I don't really like this? It's just... It feels like they didn't change enough from the original game to make it more palatable. It just doesn't work for me. It's not doing it. I usually like my classic games, so this just doesn't ring the bells of enjoyment, if you get my drift. And I have to go fight this motherfucker again, don't I? Wait a minute. Is the language still in English? I need to turn my sound back on, hang on. Nope. Well, fuck me. Alright.
Thanatos, I presume?
Indeed. I've heard much about you. You have beaten LNA, which means you are no ordinary fools.
Hand over Pamela and Dialog, and stop whatever you're doing to the people of the kingdom.
How amusing. You show some spirit, at least. I suppose this is the Pamela to whom you were referring. Unfortunately for you, I've already drained her energy. She's now my faithful servant.
How could you?
Sealed under this altar is the energy collected from the people. Resistance is a waste of time. Submit to the Empire now, or you too will face utter destruction. It's only a matter of time before all nations fall before the might of the fortress. Then there will be order. Without life force, no one has a chance against a might such as ours.
Dialog!
He was a difficult one to crack. I hear LNA had a hard time with him, too. Could this soldier be... Things are becoming more interesting. You three are entertaining in your own way. I believe I'll take your energy as well.
Alright, there we go. Now you've heard that in English. As you can see, I still prefer the Japanese dub, but not by much.
Your life force will be...
Right, here we go again. We have to beat the ever-loving crap out of some eyes. I just want to make sure that I can hit all three of these dudes with the gem missile. I can. Good. That's basically what I'm going to do. I'm just going to throw out this attack on all of them at the same time. I was about to say, how much damage does Earth Slide do in comparison? For 1 extra MP, I get about 1 extra MP's worth of damage. Okay. Oh. Ah, fuck me. Forgot to select to use it on everybody. Oh, right, it actually splits the damage. Okay, well... Honestly, it's not like it matters. It's going to be 180 damage anyway, so as long as I hit everybody, it should be okay. And... I don't actually have any of the MP restoring items, do I? I have chocolate. That's probably not going to work, though. I don't know what a Cup of Wishes is, but I can't use it anyway, so... Whatever, alright, everybody on the attack! And, yeah, I have to use this thing. I'm guessing that I have to hit the middle eye, because the eyes on the side are regenerating, so... You see, look, they're not even trying to attack it until I do. That's what makes them really annoying. It's like they don't even know how to play the game. I guess this would be slightly more fun if you were playing with your, ass. Well, it might be more fun if you were playing with your ass. I'm not one to judge. Yep, there we go. That cuts to black way too fucking fast. Like, seriously. Did you see how much damage? Not damage, space I had there? Right, new plan. We drop in and we use nothing but the We use nothing but the single attack on the middle eye and hope that we can do enough damage to kill it on the first few casts. That's actually the first boss I've died on, and there's been like 5 or 6. So... oh great, I have to sit through the cutscene again. Oh wait, I might be able to hit triangle to skip it. Nope. Apparently you can only skip certain cutscenes. That's actually really annoying. I'm not sure why that's a thing. Also, another thing I feel like pointing out. Despite the fact that this is a 3D remake, a lot of stuff actually happens on a grid. Like, whenever you have to move, like forcefully move, it's always on, like, a grid. Like, you see that? Instead of standing at a more natural distance, it's always a weird square-like distance, and a few things like that will happen from time to time. It's just, I wish I liked it more than I did, but they just... what the... okay, I think I bugged the game. For some reason, the camera's still following around him, but I'm actually controlling Papoi right now. That's fucking strange. Okay, right, magic. Gnome, earth slide, middle chamber eye, please. Nope, fuck, that was the wrong eye. Oh no, the camera's popped back onto her properly now. Wall face. Like, see, my mates are just standing there. Do something! It's like I'm playing with people who don't even know how to play the game and they just expect me to do everything. I'm the carry, is apparently what these two dudes think. Alright, just keep aiming at the one in the center, I reckon. Just... oh, you're kidding me. Oh, please tell me they can't actually heal this eye. I'll get her out because I'm going to need her heal across everybody. Right, magic. I always have to remember to go to magic. Then it's Undine. Then it's Cure Water for everybody. There we go.
Yes.
Don't know how much health that eye in the middle has, but... gonna try and take it all anyway. Man, I miss when RPG bosses have health bars. Wait, why is it attacking the chamber eye? Why doesn't it go for... oh, for fuck's sake. They are actually healing it. Right, I gotta swap to that other weapon again, don't I? There it is. I don't know how I miss a giant fucking eye that's hanging on the wall. Like, you can't even move. Really should have gone back and brought along some other stuff. Like, there's a bloody, stereotypical RPG item seller in half the other dungeons that I've been through so far, and yet this one here, surprisingly short, linear, and not interesting in the slightest. And I can't hit shit, apparently. Okay, we killed one of the eyes, which is nice. I'm about to lose Prim, which I probably don't want at this point, so I might as well just feed us both candy. And let me guess. We kill that eye, and here it comes again. Hang on. Need her to throw out some kind of weapon enhancement for us. And we're still missing every fucking shot. For no discernible reason. It's a giant eye that's hanging on the wall. And we're done. There's... Yep, there we go again. Fuck this boss. What a load of shit. Well, that was a look at Secret of Mana. I don't like it. I have very little reason to. I don't think the combat's very good. The overall quality of the port isn't great. The graphical style isn't... It just... Nah, there's not much about Secret of Mana's remake that I like. Maybe I'll have to go and try the SNES version, because I find it very hard to believe that the game is kind of like this. Really. And even weirder, like, seriously, that sudden difficulty spike with that giant eye? What was up with that? Why was I missing pretty much every shot I was taking? I don't understand. Anyway, this has been Blue Maxima, and I will see you all next time.